Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another BJ&Co How to Play board game video. Today we're going to be showing you guys everything that you need to know in order to play Castle Panic. But before we dive into it, just a quick announcement. We are doing a push for 1,000 subscribers on the channel. If you guys have been enjoying these videos, find them helpful, and want to see more, we would greatly appreciate the support by just going down below there, hitting that subscribe button, and you can even hit the bell notification if you want to be notified of when all the videos come live. But let's get on into this. This is a wonderful game. It is for 2 to 6 players. It is a cooperative tower defense game. Usually takes about 60 minutes, and it was designed by Justin DeWitt and published by Fireside Games. Now, the whole premise of this game is the fact that you are adventurers and you have created this castle in the middle of a forest. But this forest is plagued by orcs and goblins and trolls, and they don't like your castle being there. So they are fighting their way towards you and trying to destroy your castle and force you out of that. So you are fighting back, seeing if you can survive the onslaught. So let's show you guys how to go about doing that. Let's dive on into it. So first things first, let's talk about setting up your castle. You'll notice that in the box there are these wonderful castle pieces. There's some tall actual castle towers, and then there's some shorter, wider castle walls. You'll need the 6 towers to go right around the inside here. You can see we've got all 6 of them placed there. And then the 6 walls will go around the outside, just on the lines that are around that hexagon. Castle's all set up. Next step, you got to get your monsters out on the board to get things started. So in your, you guys may not have a bag, but grab through all the monster tokens that you've got, and you'll be pulling out 3 of these goblin tokens that have the 1 health on them. You'll be going for 2 of the orc tokens like this that have the 2 health on them. And then you'll be going for 3 of these wonderful troll icons that everybody loves because they're so big to kill, because they've got 3 health on them. Those will get placed 1 in each of the 6 different sections of the board that are out by the numbers in this archer ring that's around, labeled as archer. It doesn't matter which one's in which space, so put them wherever you would like at this point. The next step is going to be set up the hands for everybody. First, you'll want to make sure that out of the Castle Panic deck, you can see there in that lovely nice back there, pull out these order of play cards and you can distribute them to each player. And then you'll shuffle all the remaining cards in the deck and deal them all out to the players. Now, the number of cards that go out to each player depends on how many players are playing. And so for a 2-player game, each player will get 6 cards. For a 3 to 5 player game, each player will get 5 cards, like you can see here. And in a 6-player game, you will deal 4 cards to each player. In this game, cards can be placed face up. It's a cooperative game, so it doesn't matter if other people see. And it's actually easier if people see what you have, because then you can do some bartering back and forth and say, hey, you've got the archer I need, give it over here. But we'll talk more about that in details. So now let's get on into playing an actual game. In terms of who goes first, decide how you would like. It really doesn't matter in this game. I know very often in my game groups that you'll kind of look at the cards that go out and say, oh yeah, you're kind of makes sense to go first because you've got all the archers. But decide how you like. There's wonderful apps out there. Roll a dice. Have your way with it. The next, you'll just kind of use this as a wonderful reference guide. These order of play cards are fantastic, and there's 6 things that you'll be doing on your turn. You might not do all of them, but that's what's available. The first is draw up. So take a look at your hand. Make sure you have the 5 cards that you're supposed to. If you do not, draw up so that you've got 5. The next option you have is you can take a look at your hand and decide if you don't like one of them. And if you don't like one of them and don't think it might be good to trade it with somebody, you can actually discard it from your hand into the discard pile, somewhere out of the way, and draw a new card to replace it. That is a completely optional step, but it's a nice way to mill your cards through and get possibly better cards into your hand if there's something that's completely useless. Like in a situation like this, there is absolutely nothing in the Knight or Swordsman ring, so a Knight or Swordsman in the first player's hand is pretty pointless. So once you've done that with a discard and draw 1 card, then you move on to the trading phase. Now, in anything from a 2 to a 5-player game, you may only trade 1 card on your turn. In a 6-player game, you can make 2 trades just to help move the cards around a little bit more before it gets back to your turn. So with this, you kind of look around your hand, and I'll use an example of this with our first turn. We'll say that this player at the bottom here with all the red archers is going first. really, the mortar will not help to build a new wall for him. So he'll want to probably trade this away to somebody that would find it more helpful. And that could be really anybody who has an archer currently. And there's a couple options here. Now that I'm actually looking at it, there's a wonderful green archer here that would make sense for this player to have down at the front. But as things will move, it'll probably be good for a knight to be had over on this side. So this player will just swap the archer for the knight. They've made their one trade. That's the end of that step. And again, trading is optional. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. The next is playing cards. You can play the cards from your hand in any order, and by playing them, you will either do the special effects that are on the card, or just use them to damage the monsters that you've got. There's a few different ways to damage them. We'll start, this hand's got all archers, so this player will play one green archer to do 1 damage to this goblin. Since it only has 1 health, it is killed off. And if you want to score points in this, you can keep track of who has the most points by keeping the enemies that you kill in your area and counting them up at the end of the game. So then this will go through, and he's got a red archer, and he'll do 1 damage to this troll over here. Now, since the troll has 3 health, instead of taking him right off the board, you just rotate it so that the number that the health is currently at is facing towards the middle. So he rotated from 3 to 2. We'll hit him with another archer to go down to 1 health, and we'll hit him with the last archer to go down to 0 health, removed, and move to the next hand. All the cards that are used then get discarded. And then that's it for playing cards. There's nothing you can do with the mortar unless you have brick. So then we would move on to the next step, which is moving the monsters forward. So at the end of everybody's turn, all the monsters that are currently on the board take 1 step closer in. So they all move 1 ring in. So on the end of the first turn, everything will move to the knight circle. The next step then, finally, is you're drawing your new monsters. With that, you're digging into your bag or your pile and pull 2 new tokens. And depending on what they are, different things happen. We'll start first. I drew a troll, right? So I've got a troll there. You take the dice, you give it a roll. It rolled a 2. Just look around the board. Our 2 is over here. So that troll gets placed at full health, so the 3 facing in the forest of ring 2. The next one I have is it's one of the special tiles. And this is our giant boulder. Boulders are fun. They can smash all sorts of stuff, but they also can hurt tower walls quite a bit. So this giant boulder, you do the same thing. You roll the dice, see what you get. This gets a 4. So the giant boulder starts in the forest ring of that, and it automatically moves through, killing anything that it runs into until it hits either a wall or a tower. When it hits the wall or a tower, that is removed from play. And then the giant boulder is also removed. So if in an instance like this, it came through on number 5, it would roll through, it would kill the goblin, removing it from play, and then hit the wall and break it down. This can also lead to some very fun ones as the game progresses. And let's say, some of these walls and towers have already been busted through. If it starts in 4, it would roll, continue through all the way through the castle and go kill the goblin and run off into the forest on the other side. So some very interesting things can happen with the giant boulder. When you are drawing tiles, there are also some interesting ones. You've got the troll, orcs, and goblins. You've got the giant boulder. There's also a whole bunch of other special tokens around here. So we've got some here that all the blue monsters will move 1. So in that case, if this was drawn, everything would move 1 more forward. Draw 4 more monster tokens. So instead of drawing 2, now you've got a total of 6 monster tokens that you've drawn. Can be a lot coming out all at once. Something like this Plague Knights here would mean that every player that is in play or that's still in the game will take any knights that are in their hand and have to discard them. There's another one that's Plague. All players discard 1 card. So again, they can pick in that case. And there's another one that's monsters move counterclockwise. So then everything can rotate around. So you might have a great plan going. You've really fortified up one section of the wall, and then everything moves around. So those are just some of the special tokens that you can run into. Some of the other tokens that are fairly interesting in the game and add some dynamics are these boss monsters. Bum, 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 bum. Now these ones are, you can tell they've got kind of a golden tinge on them. and they're worth a little bit more points at the end of the game if you're able to kill them. But they all have special abilities that take into effect when they are brought onto the board. On the board, just up in this corner right here, is a list of what they do when they go through it. But we'll go through each one in turn. So first things first, we'll go with the Goblin King, which is this one right here. And as normal, when you draw him, you roll the dice and you'll place him in the forest. But then you draw 3 more monster tokens and resolve them at the same time. The next one we've got is the Orc Warlord. So this one, again, you roll the die, place him in the forest, and then all monsters on the board, including the Orc Warlord, that are in the same color as the ring he was placed in, will move 1 closer. So if the Warlord was put in the forest ring, we'd move these guys forward and this guy forward 1. The Troll Mage is the third one that we have here. That's this guy right here. And when you place him, roll the die to place him in the forest ring, and then all monsters on the board, including the Troll Mage, move closer. Which is scary. That's a lot of stuff coming towards you. Everything on the board. And then finally we've got the Healer. And the Healer does what you expect. Roll the dice, place him in the forest as usual, and then all monsters on the board regain 1 hit point. If the monsters are all if they are at full health, they will just stay at full health. You can't get extra, shields because you're getting buffed by the healer or anything like that. So those are some interesting ones that you might come across as things go. So that is the turn play as things go. But now let's talk a little bit more as the game progresses and things get closer. We know how to use our tools to destroy things, but what happens when they keep getting closer? So as these monsters get each turn move closer, if you're not able to kill them, once they get up into the swordsman ring, if they're in the swordsman ring at the start of a turn, at the end of the turn, they will move forward, they will hit the wall that's in front of them, which destroys the wall, but they take 1 damage and they bounce off the wall. So he'll stay here and back off. If he still wasn't killed this turn, then he would move into the tower range, hit the tower, which you don't bounce off towers, so you kill the tower and stay into here. You lose the game if all 6 towers go down. Once they're in the tower, they don't go straight through. They keep rotating clockwise, but can go behind the walls. So turn by turn, this guy will rotate through. Now the very interesting thing is, once they're into this, what's called the castle ring in the frontier, they can't be hit by archers, knights, or swordsmen because they're not in the applicable rings. In cases such as that, there are just a few cards in the deck that will allow you to deal with them. I'm not going to go into complete detail as to what these different ones do, but you will notice on them, the special thing about these cards is they all have that castle symbol on top. These are the only cards that can do damage to a monster that is inside the castle ring here. So if one of those comes up, you might want to hold on to it just in case. Or you might want to be searching through the deck really hard to try to find them if something gets into your castle ring. Because 6 turns of something in the castle ring, and that's good game to you guys. There are also some other interesting cards in the deck. I don't believe we have any of them out right now. Oh, we've got one right here. So the hero here, it's a red hero, so it supersedes the archer, knight, and swordsman, and it will actually attack something in all the rings. So it can attack something in the archer, knight, or swordsman. Because he's a hero, he can just go kick some butt. So the game ends, like I said, if you do lose all 6 of your towers in the middle, game's over. The other way for the game to end is if you get through all of your tokens that are in the deck. If you draw all of these and they're out on the table and you're able to defend everything that is coming at you until there's nothing left on the table, you've won the game. At that point, it's up to you if you want it to be just a co-op game. Celebrate, you've all won together. If you want to be a bit more competitive, then make sure to count up the points of the enemies that you have killed throughout the game and compare it with your opponents. In situations like this, it's 1 per health on the character, and then 1 additional point if it was a boss monster. So in a case like this, where we've got these 3, Goblin's worth 1 point, Troll is worth 3, so that puts us up to 4, and then the Troll Mage is worth 4 points for being the boss, And sorry, I misquoted that. Any of the boss monsters are worth 4 points, even if they've got less health than 3 total. So 8 points there. Compare it with everybody else. See how you've done. So that is everything that you guys need to know in order to play your own game of Castle Panic. If you do enjoy this game, there are a couple of expansions out already for it. The Wizard Tower is one that I have that I will be showing you what is involved in that at some point in time, but there are a few others as well, so definitely take a look into them. I quite enjoy this game myself. Cooperative always has a special place in my heart, and when you're fighting off the evil Desnons, it's so much fun. If you guys have been enjoying these videos, like I said at the beginning, we'd greatly appreciate a sub to the channel just down below, and because we are doing that push for 1,000 subs, and you can always like the video so it gets more exposure. If you've got questions about the rules, throw them down in the comments below, or if you just want to chat, we love hearing from our wonderful viewers. Don't forget, you can also check us out on your favorite social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, all those fun places. We've got a presence across the wonderful interwebs, or you can always check out our website, bj&co.ca. But that's it for this time, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time. Bye!